Hello and welcome to another episode of Teaching Heroes, the teaching podcast where I ask teachers and educators the critical questions: what does it take to turn up every day to teach tomorrow's leaders? Except for today, we're flipping it a little bit and we're going to talk to parents and specifically what it's like parenting and homeschooling in the pandemic. So parents have taken over the role of teachers, and we're going to ask some, pretty tough questions about what it's actually like for us as parents with our kids at home while we're trying to work as well. So welcome to the podcast, Jana and Kylie. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jo.
So when I did a Facebook post that said, hey, I just did one talking to teachers in the pandemic. Should I do one about parents? And I just got so many comments from parents talking about how tough they found it, and just everyone was just sharing all their experiences and what they were coming up against. And I was like, okay, yes, this is a topic that we need to address. And it was both of you that said, okay, I'll take it from Facebook to the public and talk about how tough it is. So let's just start. If you could tell me, if both of you could just tell me a little bit about, what your families are like, what LGA you're in, and what work you do. So Jana, you want to start?
Sure. I live in the Inner West Council, LGA, in Balmain. And my husband and I work for ourselves, and we have a construction company, building company, residential building. And I've got two children. I've got Sam, who's 10, and Molly, who just turned 9 yesterday. And we have struggled with homeschooling, like I think everybody has, because particularly because the business is suffering at the moment, even though construction's had a big boom, but we're working at about 20% productivity because of the single trades on site. And we've got quite a few of our employees in the LGAs of concern, so they're having to get vaccinated, and it's just managing all that sort of stuff. But my 10-year-old is chronically dyslexic and dysgraphia, has dyslexia and dysgraphia. And so therefore he needs somebody to sit with him all the time, which has been very challenging. And it's very interesting that when you were just doing the introductions, Jo, I've had another friend of mine whose daughter is very dyslexic as well, and she's reached out to me. She's just crumbling with the expectations, and a lot of it was from other parents. I think I said to her, just get off those social WhatsApp groups and comparing yourself to other parents. You're just doing the best you can. So it's a real struggle, and I think there's lots of discourse out there about our children getting left behind and falling through the cracks and etc. So it's a struggle.
Thanks, Jana. And Kylie, tell us a little bit about your family.
I have two boys, Joshua and Oliver. Joshua's 10, Oliver's 8, and we're in the Blacktown LGA. So as everyone knows, we're pretty restricted here. Joshua does have autism, so he does have some specific learning needs that he needs oversight with. I think they're doing okay. We're trying to manage. I work in out-of-home care, so while I am working from home, there are periods of time when I am required to leave the house to do work. And my husband started his own business, so he's trying to start his own project, which comes with its own restrictions when you're stuck at home as well. So that's where we're at the moment. And and
are both of you keeping your kids home from school?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay. So, and then I've hinted at my kids, in previous podcasts before, but, just because we're talking it from a parenting point of view, I've got 3, 2 boys, 10 and 7, and then a girl who's 4. So, and my boys have had periods of time where they've experienced anxiety, and and some OCD behaviours, and that's definitely is exacerbated in the lockdown period. And I'm in another one of the zombie LGAs. I'm in Canterbury Bankstown LGA, so part of the same restrictions that Kylie's under. So, okay, so when they first announced the lockdown in Sydney, so all of us so we're talking kind of a Sydney perspective today. When they first announced it and they said it was going to be the first week, what was your first reaction there? We were going, okay, this is one more week at home. What was it like for you both? when they had that first announcement?
I guess a bit like, oh gosh, here we go again.
Yeah.
But I think I'd have to say though that it's a lot more organised this time around with the schooling,
Yeah, right.
the homeschooling.
Yeah.
I actually had a bit of a breakdown just in the first lockdown. And it got to a point, just like I can't do anything right. I can't work and I can't school and I can't do this because I was struggling logging on to everything with all the passwords and I just like couldn't do it. And so I ended up sending them back to school about 6 weeks into the last lockdown. But this time I think it's a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more scary with how the schools are, younger kids are getting it, etc. So we've made the decision not to. And we can keep them home because I can work from home. So I guess it was a bit like, oh, here we go. And I think didn't appreciate how long it was going to be. Yeah. And I think I remember I've got 3 sisters who live in Melbourne, and week 6, one of them rang me and said, okay, this is the worst week. Week 6 is the worst from experience. And I was like, yeah, it's just like, this is getting tough. But yeah, I guess it was just I don't think we appreciated how long it was going to be. So.
Yeah. What about you, Kylie?
It was the same. It was here we go again. Fortunately, the first lockdown round, I was actually out of work, so I was able to, dedicate myself to providing, really intense homeschooling. So this time it was a little bit frightening because I didn't have the time or the capacity to give myself to just schooling the kids. So I kind of feel like you're only giving maybe 60% to work and 60% to the homeschooling, and you're sort of not meeting either of those to a standard that you're happy with. And so I think that does cause a lot of anxiety every day because you don't feel like you're keeping all the balls up in the air at all. It's just a constant juggling between the two. And and whilst it's set up better now, there's still just a lot of difficulties keeping it going, keeping the kids motivated each and every day.
That's the motivation's the hardest bit, isn't it? Keeping
for you or the kids, or both?
Both. I think both.
It's just starting to become a real fight, to get them. Okay, come on, you've got this Zoom now. Or do I have to? And yeah, it's a real struggle.
Yeah. What do you do in those moments when it is a struggle for them? Oh, does it change? Does it depend on the moment? Are you trying to kind of work them through that period of resistance, or are you going, okay, that's enough for today? Or
sometimes I just go, okay, just finish what you're doing now, and then you can have the rest of the day off, and I let the teachers know. There's a lot of screen time happening, so that's always a good threat.
Yes. That's all you can use.
Do you think it's like an empty? Actually, we've avoided actually threatening the no screen time because we actually just have to have them in front of the television sometimes because we have to work. So it's not a real threat.
Yeah. It's more I don't know. It's just
maybe the specific game, like you can't play that Xbox game, but you can play the other one.
Exactly. You have to get creative with the way you do it too, because if I'm bouncing between meetings, back-to-back meetings, I can't oversee it. It's just a matter of, get in there, sort it out yourself, get it done. And that's all you can do. Like you can't physically not attend your meetings because your child won't do their schoolwork. So a lot of the time you just have to let it slide.
Oh, and the eating.
They're eating.
Sometimes they come to you saying, I'm hungry. It's like, oh my gosh, how much do your kids eat?
A lot. I've started packing lunches like at school. Just between those hours, so they know they can eat whatever they want in that lunchbox, whatever time, but that's between 9 and 3. That's all they can come to me for.
Oh, that's a great tip, Kylie. I'm going to take that one. We're going to do that one tomorrow morning, pack the lunchbox.
And I do put a few extras in there because knowing that they are eating a lot more, but that's then the cupboard door's not constantly opening and shutting, looking for more snacks. So.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, I think for me, when it first happened, it was like, oh, okay, I really did think that New South Wales would like mop it up like they had the other times, but very quickly we saw, okay, this strain is more infectious and it's not going to happen. And as the weeks went by, I mean, for me, like my work just goes through the roof. Like I just get so busy that I just had to like hand it over to my husband and just go, look, whatever you want to do with it, that's up to you. Like I can't, you know, and his business stops because he's in the music industry. So it's just like nothing. And I think there's kind of, it was what was kind of better this time was that it was less, even though this variant is more infectious, it's kind of like less scary because there was some, you kind of know what it is, what this kind of virus is. There's some knowledge about it. And whereas back in March last year, it was just like, what is this? Like never experienced a pandemic before, never experienced a lockdown before. At least there was some familiarity about what it actually was.
And they didn't have vaccines and they didn't.
Yes. And you couldn't get masks or any sanitizer or anything like that. There was none of that scrambling to protect the kids and things like that. So, and I find even the way they're delivering homeschooling has evolved. The first time round ours was packets of paperwork. So it was all paper-based that you'd have to drop back to the school for marking and things like that. And it has all moved online now, which has its own challenges because multiple tabs, multiple step tasks where they read the first step and then they completely forget what they're doing. So
or even the formatting on the PowerPoint presentation, slides.
Yes.
Something disappears and you don't know where
exactly. And it's just the technologies, probably they don't have those skills yet.
So the teachers or the kids?
No, the kids. I'm sure I've got full confidence in the teachers' ability. They're fantastic, but just what the kids are capable of just yet.
Yeah, and because all of us, our oldest is 10, right? It's still quite young in that, sure, a 10-year-old can get on and manage some PowerPoints, but they're still, with both of you, your boys have those extra challenges. How have you found managing that? What extra strategies have you had to, do, or has the schools been supportive, or, because they're, both your boys can't necessarily just sit there and do the work by themselves on,
Well, for my son's, his class are lucky. They have 2 quite long Zooms a day where the teachers are actually working through the work with them, which is fantastic because that's what he needs. He does drift off into his own little world. We have a lot of drawing happening, but we kind of, at this stage, as long as he puts something in, he's trying, we let a lot of it slide just because his anxiety will just go through the roof.
Yeah.
So,
and is he getting any Zoom fatigue or anything like that? Or
I think absolutely. I think he is. The teacher's doing a great job. He mixes it up with games and, trivia things and lots of different things during the Zooms.
Yes.
But if he was just left on his own with a whole load of tasks, he wouldn't be getting through, I think, half as much as what he is.
Yeah. How long are the Zooms at your school running?
Well, some of them go for an hour and a half.
Yeah, wow.
Like an hour and a half twice a day.
Yeah, wow.
So, because I think they're only recommending at that age 3 hours a day of learning. So that almost covers his whole learning time.
Yeah, and for Sam, it's very similar. The teachers are fantastic. Well, we've got their mobile phone numbers. We can call them. We can text them. They're contactable, and they're doing a lot more Zooms now. They do a kickoff 8:30. They go through the day. Then there's always a 9:05 reading and writing, and then 11:30 maths, and then in the afternoon there might be music or religion or something like that because they go to Catholic school.
Yeah.
But I did reach out because Sam I said, you just have to attend the Zooms. That's all I'm asking you to do. Just make sure because they've been putting in the effort to be there, you need to be there as well. And he was just ticking a box. He wasn't paying any attention. He just, and so I reached out to the school and said, he's not learning anything. He's just there. So now he's got a one-on-one session with a teacher for reading and writing twice a week. So, and I also have a multisensory learning tutor who I got through the Australian Dyslexic Association, who Sam does sessions with as well. So he's doing that, and they're happy for that to be part of his. I hand that work in as well. So
and is that on Zoom as well?
Yeah.
And how was that adjustment for him going? Because I assume that would have been face-to-face before.
It was face-to-face before, and I'm very lucky that he had been seeing Alison for a good 18 months face-to-face before the first COVID lockdown, and then they started Zooming, and he actually really took to it. He before he was doing a lot of it at school, he was doing it more with Alison, because his tutor was very concerned because she was teaching kids from all different schools, and she was worried about if she got it and passed it on and stuff. So but he actually took ownership of it and really enjoyed it, and so we've just sort of kept that up, and no, it's worked out well.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a lot. Like, I guess our school has been doing kind of some Zooms every second day. But actually, you know, honestly, for my boys, they find it really confronting. So the younger one is very much feels like he's on display, you know, that he can be seen, and doesn't like that at all. And my older son just can't get the social cues right with Zoom. He thinks that people aren't paying attention to him, that they don't like him, that it's kind of the opposite. He feels like he's on display and he wants everyone to see him, but feels like everyone is ignoring him. So it's for both of them, the Zooms have been actually quite challenging, and we've switched to phone calls with their teachers to do some reading or maths over the phone, because the class Zooms just didn't work for them at all.
Yeah. Well, my younger son is just having one Zoom for half an hour in the mornings, which is meant to set out all the tasks they have to do for the day. But the issue is 10 minutes after the Zoom, they've forgotten what they were supposed to do, or you know, the multi-step one, so they actually can't keep a track of all of that. They end up with, you know, 1,000 tabs open on top of their screen with all the different tasks. So it's a little bit harder. I'm not criticizing the school. They call the parents every 2 weeks to check in more on us, how we're coping with everything. And so they have been really good with that. And they're only really teaching 3 in maths, English, and religion at the moment, with occasional music and Japanese to shake it up a bit. They're not doing the full range of subjects.
Yeah, right. Is that the same with you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually put the boundaries to the school as well. I said, look, I can assist them and help them till about 12 o'clock, but then I've got to work, and so anything after that's a bonus. Like that's my limitation, and they've been quite good with that.
Yeah, I mean, I found that too. My boys aren't doing a lot, I admit, and they, you know, the initial phone call from the school was like, "Are they okay?" And then I was like, "I'm trying my best.
Yes.
There's so much work to do," and they're like, "It's fine. We just want to make sure you're okay." It's like they're happy. I just feel guilty. It's like it's okay. So the school, in terms of the school support, they're like, "We just want you to be happy. Here's the work if you can do it." And they also are providing kind of like worksheets and as well. So if you want to go collect kind of worksheets, and we've been doing that because that's working better for our kids. So, you know, the fact that they're doing, I mean, they are just doing all they can, I think.
Yeah, they are. And I think that this time around there is more of a focus on welfare rather than the quantity of work that the kids are getting through, and making sure everyone's in a good place. And, you know, our school all advise, you know, if it gets too much, to stop. You know, don't do it. Just be happy and just, you know, be with your family and look after yourself. So I think that's a big shift from the last lockdown. And I think, to be honest, most of the pressure comes from ourselves. You know, it's not from the school, it's from ourselves. So.
Yeah, and you pointed to Jana, like the parent, you know, your friend feeling pressured by the parents, and is it real pressure, if you know what I mean? Like, are the parents making comments about the work, or are they just kind of oversharing all the amazing work their kids are doing? And
I think it's the latter. Yeah, I think it's the oversharing, and this is what we're doing, and we're doing the extra work, and, you know, they're so on top of it, and she just felt like she was just failing in every aspect. And she told me what she was doing, and I said to her, "You're doing way more than I am." You know, please don't, you know, she said to me, she said, "I think I need to take myself off the parent WhatsApp group." She goes, "It's just getting me down." And I said, "Absolutely, you just do what you need to do." And she's only in grade 2. It's not the end.
Oh, yes.
I know. And how do we manage that then, do you think? Because I don't necessarily think it's a new problem from the lockdown. I just think it's exacerbated. I mean, definitely as a teacher, like, experience a lot of that parent angst about how well their kids are going. And the lockdown just exacerbates it. I think parents are just so worried. And how can we manage that? Is that, is that a message coming from media? Is that, do we just hype ourselves up in our little mothers groups around everything? Or how do we manage that or stand against it?
I guess sorry, go Jen. Go. You can go.
I don't know. I think you're right. I think it's exacerbated with lockdown, and I think too, I didn't really have any idea of what work Molly and Sam were doing at school. Like, I didn't really understand. And then, Molly's doing narratives and poems and limericks, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't even know how to do this stuff. And so I think you get an insight into their school and what they're up to, and then you freak out thinking, oh my gosh. And I mean, I put it out there, maybe Molly needs a tutor, and some other parents came back to me saying, please don't worry, our kids don't understand this either. I think it's maybe being exposed to it. I don't know.
And I think we just need to acknowledge that all the kids across the board are going through the same thing. So it's not just our children that might be disadvantaged or are missing out and have to catch up. It seems to be across the board. Yeah. So I guess we need to be realistic about our expectations and, as mothers in general, not just even lockdown, be realistic about what we can and can't do and not try to take on the world.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, I know there's quite a few mums that I'm friends with who don't work. And so they don't have that extra pressure. So they can sit there all day with their kids. And that makes the ones who are working feel bad because we can't do that. So,
I think I got a bit frustrated this week because I saw a few articles and even from some educators that I have a lot of respect for, but saying, the message was, don't worry, parents, it's all okay. Just go outside and play with your kids. You don't have to do the schoolwork. Just spend some quality family time. Go on a bike ride. Go play in the backyard. And I was reading that going, I wish.
Yes.
I wish.
We would all love to be outside playing.
It's not about me worried about, them being geniuses. It's not, but the kind of, I want them to do the schoolwork so that I can do my work.
Yes.
Yeah. And, and the added pressures of running, like we run our own business and we've had to stand down most of our staff and, one's just had a baby and all that. And, you've got all that pressure on you as well. And then the kids, and they pick up on it. I mean, I know, when it first all started happening, the kids are going, we're going to go broke, Mum. Have we got no money? They're picking up on our anxiety. And it's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's just, this is quite a stressful time. You just got to get through it.
Yeah. How open have you guys been then with the kids about what's going on? Like, how much do they know in terms of
regarding the COVID, regarding what's
both
happening?
Or the impact on your work or any of that?
With COVID, I haven't hid anything. I don't think it helps to hide anything. As soon as they're back at school, that's what kids are going to be talking about. But they're safe. They haven't left the house in 8-10. When did this start? They haven't left the house in that long. Apart from going up and down the street on their scooters, they've been inside. So, being honest with that, with my work, I can't. They have to know because a lot of the time it's, I'll come help you soon. I'm just busy right now. Like a catchphrase. So they know.
Yeah. I know. My kids are like, do you have another meeting? It's like,
yes.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think I say to the kids, just be good right now and do whatever you need to do to get through, and then this afternoon we'll watch a movie so together, and they like that if you do something together. So if you can. And also I get them helping me cook dinner and do those sorts of things. And we planted for my birthday. I said all right, let's go buy a heap of plants, and we planted them for the day, and I told the school that the kids were having the day off, and we just did some gardening. So things like that.
We have had a day where we've just decided that today is just not the day, and we're just going to let the kids watch movies and things like that, and or have a half day or something like that, just for our own sake.
Wednesday before off, they basically said it's a do what you like day.
Okay. That's a good idea.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
And I've heard like through Sam's tutor, another school child she tutors, they're now having Wednesday afternoons off every week.
Oh, I have heard of some schools having every Friday off, which would, I would love that.
Yeah, they've recognised, and they are probably doing more work than they normally do. I mean, I don't know if you've been in the classroom with your kids, but they banter and they drop their pencils and they chat and they laugh, and they're not just working.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's parents. I did have in the last lockdown, a parent approach me and say, "Oh, I didn't realise what a, I don't think she's a bad worker, or, oh, he doesn't focus. He's not sitting there. Oh my gosh, there's something wrong." And I was like, no, I said, this is not how they learn. They don't learn as individuals. They learn in a big group of 20 all together. Everyone's working. It's really motivating. I mean, when you're in the office and everyone's there, you are a bit more motivated to get things done, and you have a little chats, and then you go back and you do more work. And this, kids by themselves at a desk doing work, it's unnatural to them as a way of learning. They're not used to learning and working like that.
Yeah, it's not how they normally do it.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I've got to admit, you guys are doing way much more work than what my kids are doing. They're having nearly every day off. So, you guys, pats on the back to both of you for doing all that work. But how's it going balancing your working life? Like my work's pretty understanding, and I think we're allowed, if we need to help our kids we're allowed one day off a week, and we can use our kind of sick leave as part of that. So that's been really helpful for me. But other than that, the kind of work I do just kind of keeps going. I can't taking any more time off than that. Just means when I go back, it's just more work. And so how are you guys finding that managing, the expectations from work? And I'm sure, I know, Jana, it's yourself, but there still would be an expectation that things get done. How do you manage that, with your employers and the expectations of your business?
I think you just have to get it done. You got to, like we work 7 days a week. Like I've worked today, I worked yesterday. Yeah. Like you're just working all the time. And it's just, you don't have a choice because it's got to get done.
That must have an impact at some level though.
Yeah, that's very, very stressful. Like I'm not sleeping well, all that stuff, because you're constantly thinking about things and, finances and all that sort of stuff. It's quite stressful. Yeah. But it just, you don't have a choice because we've got about 13 employees that rely on us to put food on the table. So we've got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really big, isn't it? Because it's not just you, it's not just your family, but
no, it's other people's families. Yeah.
Yeah. And has the business been able to, so there was the short period of time where there was no construction, but now there's allowed some with restrictions, is that?
Yeah, so it's been difficult because we've got two guys that they're both in the LGAs of concern. I think they're I'm not sure where they are, but and one lives with his grandmother, and his grandmother doesn't really want him to go to work because she's vulnerable. And he's said, look, I just like another month off, stood down, and we said, yeah, that's fine. And he's getting the government payment and he's happy with that. And we had another young kid who, he's an apprentice and he had the vaccine. I'm not sure which one he had, but he's had a very adverse reaction to it. So he's been told to take a couple of weeks off. So he's down as well.
Oh, wow.
And just you're only allowed one trade on site. And so so it's not the client's fault that we can't be as productive as we normally would, but it's not our fault either. So you just sort of keep going and you can see you're not making any money because it's productivity drops. So, but you just got to get through. And I said that to my husband. I said, this isn't a year about expanding or making money. This is a year about just surviving. So.
Yeah, it's about treading water. And I think that, I don't want to get political, but it's like this time as well, I think last year there was that kind of, the federal government support was constant. And now, I know for us, my husband's business, that we've just, some funding has just kicked in for us from the government.
Yeah.
But I think there were a couple of weeks there where it was just really uncertain about, wow, like how are we going to
Yeah.
sustain the mortgage or
Yeah.
the bills that we had previously budgeted on 2 incomes for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not easy, but and we are lucky. We are, you try to tell yourself, we are lucky. We're in a country that has given support. I mean, the first lockdown was amazing. We couldn't believe just how much support we got.
Yes.
This one's probably not so much, but we just got to get through.
Yeah. What about for you, Kylie? So you work for, do you work for New South Wales Health?
No, I work for Wesley Mission in out-of-home care, so kids in statutory care. They've been amazing. Look, we're all of our officers are working from home. We're all connected online, very flexible. If you need to tend to your kids, if you need to do this, as long as you get your work done. They've even really made it easy. So if you take 4 days off, they will give you the 5th day free. Of course, I don't really want to take any time off because the work will obviously have to be done by someone else.
Yes.
So, but it's been amazing. I think having a really supportive workplace makes a huge amount of difference. Yes. We all Zoom together twice a day just to keep our spirits up and to keep connected, because as you said, when you're together you're more productive. But yeah, I have no complaints at all about how my workplace is managing it at all. Yeah, absolutely.
But I could also imagine for you, like there'd be a pull to make sure that the people that you're looking after in your employment are okay as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So there is that pull as well. I guess it's the same with managing your expectations with your children. You have to do the same thing with your workplace as well. So I'm not Superman.
Yes.
You can only get through so much work in a day on the best of days, even if we weren't in lockdown. And you aim to get through as much as you can. So that's all we can really do at this point in time. Like I said, sometimes I still do have to leave the house to attend to work. And I think that's been a lifeline for me, being able to connect with people on that level. But I think it's about managing your own expectations as well.
Yes, I think that, and being able to communicate that to your workplace about what you're actually being able to be up to at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just, as you say, Jana, it's just like the maintaining rather than the expanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Getting through. Yeah.
And how have you both found your communities in terms of, pulling together and the support? I know I have found in my LGA, it's been quite incredible to see such positive messages, just chalk drawings on the ground or the little rocks you find out in the bush, or, I mean, I definitely have felt like people are really trying to, and the other day I got a tray of cupcakes, so I still don't know who left them for us. Tray of cupcakes on our front door, and it's like, oh wow, there's people thinking of you, and so despite it all, I have felt this kind of sense of the community pulling together or pulling us through.
Yeah.
Our street, we started a WhatsApp group for our street back in the first lockdown. We had a little thing in our letterbox saying, hey, we want to connect with everyone. And, after the last lockdown, we didn't really talk. But then once this one happened again, everyone's just checking in with each other, making sure they're okay, asking any elderly people if they need anything done for them, any groceries collected and things like that. So that's been really nice.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit. What about in the big bad city, Jana? Are you
Oh yeah, we're all a bit isolating, aren't we? But no. I mean, I've had flowers left at my door by friends, walking past, or you get a phone call, say, well, we're walking past with the kids. Do you want to come out and say hello and have a chat, and that sort of thing. And some, and I won't name names, are saying, "I'll come over for a drink." No, I can't. No. Anyway.
Me and Kylie in our LGAs are like,
yeah, don't do that. Yes.
Yeah. You want to get out of lockdown sometime before Christmas.
Yeah.
That's what I said to one friend. I said, no, I can't be doing that, because Owen's out and about and getting exposed to all different people. I said I would die if I gave it to anyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's looking like schools are open for kindies in year 1 in the middle of October in year 12s, and then I think the other, then a staggered return for the other years, and teachers are being required to be vaccinated. So how are you both feeling about that? Is that you happy with that, announcement? Are you confident to send your kids back? Or, I mean, I know for me, I'm relieved that the year ones are going back, because I think for my 7-year-old, he really needs it. And my 10-year-old is like, yes, a couple more weeks at home. So how are you guys feeling? Or what else do you think might, just how are you feeling about it? What would need to be done, etc.?
I would prefer if our kids could be vaccinated prior to be returning, because a little germ factor is, if any, we've all got kids, we know what they're like. Their hygienes can be quite bad, especially in a school. So I'm just very concerned. Our numbers are still going up, and they've got this set date when they can return. So whilst the teachers might be protected, they can still carry the virus and then pass it on to, say, children, or children can bring it from home. So I'm not 100% comfortable with it. Obviously, if that's what we have to do, then that's what we have to do. But I just would like them to be vaccinated. That's
Yeah, I'm a bit the same. I'd be more comfortable if they were vaccinated, and if they get it, they get it. But I think, I don't know if we're going to be given a choice that, you keep them.
I actually don't think, because I'm a COVID nerd, policy nerd person, there aren't actually any vaccines worldwide approved for the 5 to 12 yet. So, I mean, there's not even a vaccine available, even if that was at this stage. So, but, I really hear what you're saying. There is that concern, and I think the messaging, needs to be a bit clearer, I think, from Australia, federally and state-based about, I hear a lot of parents are just like really concerned about their kids, and it's like fair enough. And so where's the clear messaging about, their decision, I think.
I think that, we're getting told every day, all day, get vaccinated, get vaccinated, get vaccinated, get vaccinated. And then it's like, now send your kids to school unvaccinated. So
yes.
It's true. Yeah, it's like
and somehow that they're safe, because the last variant, that it wasn't targeting kids, but this is a different variant with a different response. And it scares me to think of an 8-year-old with long-term COVID, or a 2-year-old with a long-term COVID. What would that look like? And so I don't know about your kids, but my kids wouldn't wear a mask all day.
No.
And I wouldn't want them to, I'll be honest, I wouldn't want them to, at that young age, or even a teenager. I personally don't think it's appropriate for a kid that's more dangerous, I think, than the other way around. I do worry more because Spencer is 10. He's the one that was saying to my husband, he's the one that now I'm worried about. It seems like the younger they are, the less severe it is. So, and they get over it really quickly. But him getting older, not being quite 12 yet, eligible for the vaccine, but that those kind of bridging years, I think it's like
it's going to be interesting. But then again, I think their mental health is just as important. And I mean, I know my girlfriend walked past with her kids the other day, and my kids went outside to talk to them, and they don't realize how much they're missing their friends. My kids are pretty good. They just, they're fine. But when they saw them, they're like, they drag them apart 20 minutes later. They just, they don't realize, and we don't realize, I guess, how much they're actually missing that.
Yeah, we've run into friends in parks before, and you're like, you're trying
to
away, but it's like that.
Yes.
Kids are just like,
and at the same time, you don't want your kids to be afraid to approach people, because they've really got this drummed into them, keep your distance, wash your hands, do this, do that, you don't want them to grow up to be fearful of the world.
I mean, the other day, Sam, front door was open because there was a nice breeze when it was warm last week, and he ran downstairs and said, Mum, you got to shut the door, COVID could come inside. Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
I know my daughter said, we were going to the park, and she said, put your mask on, Mummy, I don't want a bat to get in you. She's even starting to get about the, and she's like, because we used to go get our nails done just at the little, she goes, is the nail shop open yet? No, because of coronavirus. Yeah, because of coronavirus. And it's like, it's cute, and it's also a bit sad.
Yeah.
That, so young, and he's kind of getting what the world is like at the moment. It's a bit different. Yeah.
Sort of
Okay, so go.
You sort of wonder if we'll forget, like, you know, when hopefully this all passes and we just move on, or will there be?
I don't think we'll ever forget. I don't
No.
think we will. Kids might, but we won't.
We won't forget. I don't
No.
think. Yeah. So what would you do? Let's say if you were, you know, what would you say to schools? And like all of us have been like really positively, you know, glowing about our schools, you know, appropriately. But is there anything that else can be, I mean, maybe not even at a school level, but at a system level that is missing that would help you, or from a workplace point of view, to make this experience not as, you know, so stressful as what it has been?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I really don't. I couldn't say what they could do better. They've been really, really good. And they've also been very understanding when I've said, look, well, I just can't do this. And they're like, you're doing an amazing job. Whatever you can do is fine.
Yeah.
So I know some other people I know are having different experience. But yeah, I think we've been very blessed with our community and our school.
Okay.
The same here. I can't fault my school. They've been there from point dot. They're still taking vulnerable children that need to go to school, or children of workers. They're making contact. They're doing all that they can. And same with my workplace. So I don't know how, you know, they didn't get a lot of warning that they were going into lockdown. So it happened quite quickly. And so I'm amazed at how quickly they were able to respond and put a system in place. So I think they've done an amazing job. They've evolved. It's really good.
Yeah, and I think it's just that reality of we're living in a pandemic, and that this is what it looks like, and what else could we, you know, we just have to wait it out and do what we can and keep in contact, and and it's okay to cry.
Yes.
Absolutely.
They've done that a lot better this time around, and through no fault of their own. They must have received a lot of feedback on the last time, and they do ask me every time they call me, is there anything we can be doing more for you to support you?
Great.
So they're actually having those conversations, and just, I think sometimes just being asked is enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you both for coming onto the podcast. I really appreciate you sharing your perspective and what it's really like on the ground. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
That's fun. Thank you so much, Jo.
And we'll see you next week for another episode of Teaching Heroes. Bye.